All right, everybody, it is 11:15, and that means that it's time for our Thursday Gathering Startup Story. We're really excited to feature Diana Perkins with includesign, and Diana will be kicking us off, but she will also be interviewed then by Tina Pedersen of Ramp for the question and answer session.
All right, so good morning. As Amy said, my name is Diana Perkins, and my business is called includesign. And my slides are loading. There we go. Our first product is the LapSnap. So I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about what we do and how we got started. So I'm Diana. I founded the company, and we're a Rhode Island-based product design firm focused on creating products that empower individuals with disabilities. I studied mechanical engineering and industrial design at Brown University, and I have multiple years of experience in the field of product design for disabled populations. The LapSnap is our first product. It's a versatile, adaptive carryall designed with and for wheelchair users. It's got lots of great features, like a waterproof fabric cover, collapsible frame and rigid base, padding on the bottom for comfort, a versatile strap that allows you to fasten it behind your back, under your legs, or through the arms of your chair, pockets for personal items, and reinforced handles. You can see some pictures of different wheelchair users using the LapSnap for different applications. And the reason that I started includesign is because the disabled community has really been overlooked by the non-disabled design community for a long time. And able-bodied designers can really easily fall into the trap of thinking that they know what disabled people need because, oh, it's obvious, you know, they need something to, like, quote unquote fix their disability. Whereas when you actually talk to people with disabilities, that's not what they need, right? They need simple products most of the time to easily do the things that you and I take for granted every day, like carrying their groceries. This is also really important because as we all age, our bodies deteriorate, often in ways that overlap with the symptoms of various disabilities. So designing products with disabled partners from the start makes products more useful for everyone. And as Tina will often say, the disability community is the only minority that any of us can join at any point. So the more that we focus on disability and inclusion, the better for everybody. It's also, of course, the law with the ADA, and it's the right thing to do. And for those of us who are more financially minded, it's, of course, also good business. So the disability community is the largest minority in the world. 26% of people have it, some form. 6 million Americans use a wheelchair full or part-time. And according to a recent study, the disposable income of people with disabilities who are working age is $500 billion. So to say that you're not interested in the disabled market says that you're willing to let every fourth person who would walk or roll through your doors get away from you. So that's an introduction to includesign. Here are our links, and they're all on the whiteboard behind me. And now I would love to bring Tina on. Tina is a longtime supporter of Inclu, one of our very first product testers. She was kind enough to meet with us at a grocery store on the weekend, and we just had like a piece of canvas, you know, hot glued to a piece of cardboard. And she's been a huge supporter of the company as we've grown. So welcome, Tina.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today. And I am so proud of you and the organization. And I can really say that because there's not a lot of young women just out of college who would take the time to make sure that the disability community has what they needed. And that's just it. We don't want people to feel bad for us. We want to be included. We just want to be able to go about our day on our own without any help from anybody. And I'll tell you, my LapSnap does that for me because I use there is not a day that goes by that I am not utilizing my LapSnap to either cart my dogs around, my gardening, my food, keeping my dogs out of my food because it's got a nice cover to it and everything. So yeah, there are so many reasons. I have a 190-pound Great Dane and 80-pound Pit Bull. So yeah, they can reach right into my lap and take whatever they'd like. So this is my way of, you know, keeping them out. But I wanted to ask you, Diana, why the disability community for you? Why do this product for the disability community?
Yeah, so I originally got started being interested in product design for disabled populations when I worked at the American Printing House for the Blind. They're headquartered in Louisville, Kentucky, where I'm from, and they're the nation's largest producer of Braille books and educational aids for blind and visually impaired children. And, you know, I had a couple of different internships during college, but that was by far the best one, the best work environment, because everybody was working there not to make, you know, to blow the company up and make $50 billion, but to actually help people. So yeah, it's grown as a passion since then. I took a really wonderful course on the history of disability justice at Brown, and that really cemented my love of working with this community. And as Tina knows, this project actually started as my senior capstone project for my engineering degree. So yeah, it's just grown over time.
My dog's coming into the picture. I guess he feels left out. Sorry about that. What have you learned about the disability community getting this product up and started? What has changed your mind, and are we much different than anybody else?
Yes and no. I mean, as people, not at all. Everybody, you know, who has a disability that I've met, at least, is just like anybody else. They just have slightly different, you know, needs than somebody else might have. One of the things that I've learned about the disability community is how incredibly diverse it is, even within the community, and even within the same disability. So this first product works mostly for wheelchair users, but even within that, you know, there's lots of different reasons somebody might be within a wheelchair, and even within one reason for using a wheelchair, there's lots of different presentations. And so you can't, you know, pick one person, design it for them, and assume that it's going to work for everyone in that group. We were lucky to have lots of different user testers with different mobility levels and different needs, and that really opened my eyes. I thought that there were, you know, like 3 or 4 different kinds of wheelchairs when I started this project, but there are actually several hundred kinds. And so that's why the LapSnap attaches directly to the person, as opposed to, you know, hooking onto the chair somewhere, because we were looking at different wheelchairs that our product testers have, and we were like, wait, okay, so there's no parts that appear to be the same. I mean, they all have wheels, but they don't all have a back, they don't all have arms. You know, we've got power chair users, we've got manual chair users, we've got some that are really big and bulky, and there's a lot of really, you know, there's a lot of places we could attach, and then we've got some which are more like athletic models, and there's nowhere that we could attach this. So we need to make it work just by putting it right on the body.
Yeah, and your process of going through everything was absolutely incredible, because, you know, like you said, you know, I use a power chair. Some of my best friends use manual wheelchairs. We may have the same, we both have spinal cord injuries, but completely different. I can do different things than he can do. He can do different things than I can do. And that's what people don't realize, is you can't blanket statement saying, you know, we have spinal cord injuries, we're all the same. It's not the case. And the LapSnap is so versatile that each person can use it in the way that they want to use it. And tell everybody how you went about your product testing, because I find it fascinating, and you guys were so thorough and thoughtful by doing it the way you've done it.
Thank you. Yeah, so we originally, before the pandemic, we were meeting people, including Tina, in actual grocery stores on the weekend, and first asking what they normally did, trying to see their process. People have different things. Some of them will push a, you know, regular shopping cart with one hand and roll with one wheel with the other hand, and then switch, which is, as you might imagine, pretty tiresome. Some people were putting one of those plastic hand baskets on their lap and rolling around, but they're really easy to just fall off, and then all your groceries on the floor, which is not the best. And so once the pandemic hit, obviously we weren't able to do that, as a lot of our market is immunocompromised, as am I. And so I learned how to sew. I sewed 10 of them on my dinky little home sewing machine that I got on Amazon. And we sent them to user testers around the country. And we had lots of Zoom interviews and surveys to get some quantitative data. And we got a really, really positive response. And so we took that, and to be a good sign, and just launched the product on Kickstarter just less than 2 months ago. And it's actually closing this weekend. So if you're interested in getting a LapSnap or supporting the work that we're doing, I'll put the link in the chat, and you can check out our Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, and you guys have, like I said, done an incredible job. And I find it fun that just product testing and finding all the different things that we can use, we've already come up with the next venture. Like, we need one a little bit smaller, we need a little one that does this, we need to add this. Like, so where do you see LapSnap in 5 years? Where do you see the company going?
Yeah, so this is the first of many products that we want to create collaboratively with the disability community. We're really interested, like you said, in having a couple different variations soon. Oh, thanks, Amy. A couple different variations soon that would be for smaller wheelchair users, including children, or one that for a walker instead of a wheelchair has a much larger market, especially with the aging population. We also want to make different products for people with different kinds of disabilities that are completely different than what we're making now. We want to keep building out our product line, and additionally, we want to work with other companies who are maybe more established, but don't necessarily have the best idea of how to go about working with the disability community to make their products more accessible. So taking a brand that's already established and helping them make a new product or make their existing products more accessible is something that we're really looking to expand into, as well as trying to get these available in more stores. So, the plastic hand baskets are available in the grocery store, the shopping baskets, the shopping carts are available in the grocery store, and a dream of mine is to have a LapSnap available in every grocery store,
Yeah, and I think the bridge between the both is what you guys really do, and I think you guys excel at it because you have empathy built into you, you have inclusion built into you, and it just exuberates from who you are. That's incredible, and I think the biggest thing that you do is you bring the able-bodied and the disabled communities together to work together and to see that there is no difference between the two. We may do things that look differently, but you bring us together and you bring people talking that two unlikely friends. I mean, you're a college student, I'm an old lady at this point, and a wheelchair user, you're able-bodied, but two very unlike sauces finding a way to work together and now being the best of friends and, having a connection. That's what the most important thing. And I truly believe that's the best thing that you did with includesign is bringing communities together, unlikely sources together to move forward together. So thank you so much for everything that you do. And how can we support you going forward? How can the community stay involved and keep going forward?
Yes, thank you. So Amy put the link to our Kickstarter in the chat. It's open through this weekend and then it'll be closed. So if you're interested in getting your own LapSnap or for someone in your life, we also have a couple of other rewards if you wouldn't need a LapSnap, including the option to donate one to Tina runs a lovely, wonderful organization called RAMP, which stands for Real Access Motivates Progress, which is a local advocacy organization that helps wheelchair users and people with other disabilities. It has a bunch of great events going on this summer, so you should check out RAMP and inclusion.com, as well as you can keep up with us at thelapsnap.com, email us at thelapsnap@gmail.com, or find us on Instagram or Facebook at include.design. Oh, and to answer Amy's earlier question, the LapSnap can hold about a full week's worth of groceries. It is 16 3/4 by 12.5 by 7.5 inches when open. So you can fit a good amount of stuff in there.
You could also fit two 10-pound Shih Tzus in there together and close it. So that kind of gives you another object. And you could fit the head of my 190-pound Great Dane in there when he's trying to get my food. So it gives a little different perspective. You want to do dog measurements, that's your dog measurements.
I was going to say that's the measurement I need is that.
Yeah, that's dog measurements. And that's how I measure pretty much everything that I do is does my dog fit in it or how can, how it works.
I do encourage everybody to check out rampinclusion.com. Especially they have a fantastic event coming up at the Steel Yard. Tina, do you want to give a 30-second pitch for the Accessibility is Beautiful?
Oh, absolutely. The event is called Accessibility is Beautiful. It's able-bodied and disabled people working together. It's geared towards business owners, how we can direct you how to affordably become accessible and inclusive, because basically we're begging you to do this so we can add to your bottom line. There is not one business that anybody is going to open where they're not going to encounter the disability community. So call us up, check us out, and let us come down and help you interact with the disabled community properly. Because by 2030, if you're not doing it now, you're going to be missing out on half the population.
Absolutely. And Diana, Avi has two questions. If you want to look at the chat, it says, why aren't wheelchair companies making useful attachments like the LapSnap? And is this an opportunity for you to partner with them? Or have you considered partnering with them?
Yeah, so we are considering partnering with them. The main issue is that wheelchair companies are pretty medicalized at this point. You have to go through insurance. They're wildly expensive, and it's solidly within the realm of medical equipment. And so most of those companies, if they make other products besides wheelchairs, they're other strictly medical products. Not a lot of them have interest in creating products that are helpful for non-medical things for people who have disabilities. So ours is, you know, medical adjacent, right? Because it's medicalized in some context because it has to do with disability, but it's really not a medical product at all. And so unfortunately, those kinds of companies don't really have any interest. I guess fortunately for us, it's a market that we can go into. But yeah, we are interested in partnering if anybody has any connections to wheelchair manufacturers. But so far, because our product isn't FDA regulated or, you know, medical in that context, people aren't who are in that market so far aren't really interested in those kinds of applications.
Well, I can speak on the opposite end of that. It's a good thing you don't partner with them, because most wheelchair users don't trust the wheelchair companies because they don't stand behind their wheelchairs. They don't help us out with products or types and what they think that we need. They don't actually ask us what they need. Wheelchair companies do not talk to wheelchair users while they're making their product. You would think that they do, but they don't. And that's one of the biggest problems, where Diana, as a young woman just out of college, actually nothing for us without us, actually turned to us and asked us what we needed. So she's better off not coinciding with them, because number one, their market would be 10 times higher, and they wouldn't actually fit our needs because they're not talking to us. They don't talk to us to build the actual wheelchair. Why would they talk to us about building any accessories for that wheelchair? You can't even get a proper cup holder for your wheelchair from a wheelchair company. So she's better off not doing it and doing it her way. She could teach them a lot of things. They should be hiring her to do their marketing and their test products for them. Just saying.
Yeah. Or at least taking a page out of your book, because you're going to be far too busy with Include Design. So, well, thank you both so much for this. This has been fantastic. Diana, do you want to drop the Kickstarter in the chat one more time, just to make sure it gets out there? And then I do encourage everybody to take a look and share it on social media if they are able as well. But I am really looking forward to seeing where this goes. And like I said in the chat, but I want to reinforce, if you do support the Kickstarter, there is the opportunity to donate. And I think you said this too, Diana, but that was the thing that when I checked it out, I was like, this is the coolest part, because for those of us who might not need the LapSnap, we have the ability to pass it along and share it with somebody that would.